Suge Knight's son is bringing this one back to life. Tupac Shakur didn't actually die in '96 and is still alive in...
From blurry Cuba parking lots where Pac is caught laughing with fans, to that viral Celtics game clip that keeps popping up online, it's been almost 30 years since Tupac's death, but some people still swear he's out there somewhere. Let's break down the clips that got fans convinced Pac never really left. Our first stop, the bright, sun-drenched streets of Cuba.
I just been chilling right here in Cuba. Life has been good.
This is where one of the most talked about videos in Tupac conspiracy history first exploded online. The clip, shot on some old school early 2000s camera gear, is super grainy, like barely visible grainy. And it shows a dude in a Cuban parking lot chilling, cracking jokes, and signing autographs like a star who never missed a beat. As the shaky footage pans around, it lands on a man who looks way too much like Tupac Shakur. The same build, sharp cheekbones, signature goatee, everything screams Pac's mid-90s look. At one point, the guy even stares straight into the camera and drops phrases like, "Holler back," which was totally part of Tupac's raw street lingo back in the day. That little detail had fans losing it. But here's the real kicker. Why Cuba of all places? Theorists claim this is the biggest clue that Tupac dipped out to the island to reconnect with his aunt, Assata Shakur, who's been living there under asylum for decades. And for anyone not familiar, Assata's a major figure in Black liberation history, and the idea that Pac might have joined her there only makes the mystery sound even wilder.
Suge Jr. has been posting images of Tupac posing with celebs, saying that the rapper lives in Malaysia now and the Illuminati knows.
Assata Shakur isn't just Tupac's aunt. She's a legendary Black Panther activist who broke out of a U.S. prison back in 1979 and found political asylum in Cuba, where she's been living ever since. Her story runs deep in history and rebellion, and that's exactly why theorists say Cuba would have been the perfect hideout for a man like Tupac to vanish and live under the radar. But here's where things get extra wild. The timing of that supposed sighting. The video suddenly resurfaced right after Tretch from Naughty by Nature casually dropped a bomb during a 2010 interview saying he'd actually seen Tupac in Cuba. That one offhand comment lit up the internet like wildfire. Suddenly, the old, grainy footage that used to float quietly in conspiracy circles went viral overnight, and everyone started hunting for proof that Pac might have made the ultimate escape. Supporters of the theory swear the guy in the clip moves like Tupac, talks like Tupac, even has that same sharp look in his eyes. Some people claim voice analysis lines up almost perfectly with Pac's real tone and speech patterns, but of course, the skeptics aren't buying it. They point out one major flaw. Where are the tattoos? Tupac's iconic ink, especially the Thug Life stretched bold across his stomach, is nowhere to be seen. The low-quality video hides every detail, which makes some people believe it's just a clever impersonator or maybe even a doctored clip meant to fool everyone watching. Still chilling in Cuba, our second supposed sighting turns the heat up even more. Another viral clip, with over 3 million views and non-stop debates online, claims to show Tupac just vibing and cracking jokes with Suge Knight out in Cuba. Yeah, you heard that right, Suge Knight. According to the story, this shaky video was filmed around 2004 during a supposed music video shoot while Knight was handling business down there. The footage mainly shows the back of a man's head and his side profile as he chops it up with Suge, laughing, nodding, and gesturing in that smooth, familiar way that fans swear only Tupac could pull off. Viewers say the dude's energy, swagger, and body language are identical to the legend himself. But here's where it gets tricky. Once again, there are no visible tattoos. None. That missing Thug Life ink, the sleeves, all of it, gone. That's got people arguing like crazy online, some saying it's clearly a body double cashing in on the resemblance, while others believe the footage was cleverly edited just to keep the mystery alive and keep fans guessing. What really takes this one over the edge is the Suge Knight connection. The timing lines up perfectly with Suge's cryptic interviews that kept everyone talking. Remember that infamous 2014 interview with Ice-T? Knight practically hinted that Tupac survived the shooting and got away. After that, the internet exploded with wild theories. Hip-hop forums, comment sections, and even mainstream media lit up with one question. Did Suge just confirm what fans have been saying all along? People who ride hard for this footage swear it lines up perfectly with Suge Knight's old hints, and they're convinced it proves Tupac's whole death was a setup from day one. According to this theory, Knight didn't just know about the escape, He helped pull it off. Some even claim Tupac was airlifted straight out of the hospital by helicopter that night, dodging the chaos of the East versus West rap war that had already taken too many lives. Wild, right? When that 2012 YouTube video titled "Tupac is Alive, Never Seen Before" video from 2004 dropped, it blew up like crazy. Millions of views poured in from all over the world, and the comment sections turned into war zones. Fans dissecting every single second, every movement, every tiny laugh, desperate to prove their hero was still breathing somewhere off the grid. The true believers break it down frame by frame, claiming the man's posture, grin, and body language are pure Tupac energy. But skeptics aren't having it. They point to how there's never a clear front-facing shot, saying it's all too convenient, too blurry, and probably just a slick edit meant to mess with people's heads. The lack of solid evidence keeps the debate spinning non-stop. Then came the 2020 documentary, Tupac, The Great Escape from UMC, which dove deep into these theories but ultimately couldn't lock down any real proof. And just when you think the hype might fade, social media fired it all back up again. By 2025, TikTok and Facebook were flooded with these same clips, mixed with new AI-generated ones, keeping the legend of Tupac's Cuban comeback alive and louder than ever. Forensic video experts and tech-savvy analysts have torn most of these clips apart, calling them low-effort digital fakes built to rack up views and go viral. But just when you think the theories might start fading, boom, a brand new wave of evidence hits the streets. This time, not in Cuba, but right in the middle of New Orleans. Jump to 2009. We're talking the buzzing nightlife of Bourbon Street, the city's wild heartbeat, where a set of photos dropped and reignited one of the biggest Tupac debates in years. TMZ, never one to miss a juicy headline, dropped these images showing a man at a Bourbon Street bar who looked shockingly like an older, low-key version of Tupac Shakur. And here's what made people really lose it. These weren't those blurry, sketchy, zoomed-in shots we've seen before. These were clear, full-color pictures that captured a guy with those same bold cheekbones, the goatee, and that unmistakable Pac aura, like he just aged gracefully and was chilling under the radar all along.
It's supposedly Tupac in 2012. He's reportedly living in Sweden and has schizophrenia.
The man looked cool and calm, sipping his drink, blending in with the crowd like any regular dude, not a global rap icon, thought to be long gone. According to TMZ's report, this all went down at Bourbon Rock's bar, and the story blew up overnight. They ran with the headline, "Tupac is alive," and followed up with extra pics that had social media going crazy. And to top it off, witnesses at the scene claimed the DJ MC Difficult even shouted from the booth, "That's Tupac right there," which sent the whole crowd into an uproar. Cheers, screams, phones up. The whole place lit up like it was 1996 all over again. The photos blew up like wildfire across every corner of hip-hop culture. Blogs, forums, and social feeds went insane. From hardcore fans in the streets to casual listeners in the suburbs, everyone was breaking down those pictures like crime scene analysts. People zoomed in until the pixels started to blur, comparing facial angles, jawlines, and expressions side by side with Tupac's old photos, trying to prove what they already felt in their gut. That's him! What really had folks tripping was one tiny detail. A faint mark on the guy's scalp that perfectly matched a feature only die-hard fans would even know about. That single mark became the smoking gun for believers who swore this was no coincidence. But reality came crashing in soon after all the chaos. TMZ eventually walked it back, admitting the man was most likely just a ridiculously convincing lookalike. And after a bit of digging, internet detectives claimed to have identified him as a local dude named William, not Tupac Shakur. Debunkers broke it all down piece by piece, from the differences in ear shape to the guy's slightly taller build, proving the resemblance wasn't as airtight as people thought. Still, even with all that, the legend refused to die. Every few years, especially whenever new "Tupac is alive" talk starts trending, those same Bourbon Street photos resurface again and again. By 2025, Facebook and Instagram were buzzing with fresh posts reanalyzing the same old images. Fans zooming in on that scalp mark all over again, arguing fiercely in the comments. AI detection tools confirmed the pics weren't edited or fake. They were 100% real photos. But the truth, they just captured one random man who happened to look eerily like Tupac, not the legend himself. Next stop, Sweden. Yeah, you read that right. All the way across the Atlantic, a strange video popped up in 2012 that had the internet spinning in circles. The clip shows a man who looks way too much like Tupac, rocking a mic on a tiny stage somewhere in Sweden, rapping in English with full confidence and energy. The crowd's small but vibing, and the dude's presence has got that same raw magnetism Pac was known for. Now here's why this sighting had people talking. Sweden seems like the last place you'd expect to find Tupac if he were alive, right? But that's exactly why believers think it makes sense. Conspiracy theorists say Sweden would be the perfect low-key hideout for someone trying to stay off the radar while still scratching that creative itch. According to them, it's the kind of quiet, faraway spot where Tupac could test the waters, perform just enough to feel that fire again, without the chaos and recognition that would come in the US. The guy in the footage had all the familiar details, those sharp cheekbones, that trimmed goatee, and a body build that screamed mid-90s Tupac vibes. The way he held the mic, moved across the stage, and locked eyes with the crowd felt so authentic that YouTube comments turned into digital detective zones. People were slowing the video down, pausing every frame, comparing angles, and arguing in threads for hours. Supporters of the theory swear the man's voice, posture, and swagger line up perfectly with how Tupac performed back in the day. They claim no impersonator could capture that exact energy, that fire, unless it was the real deal himself hiding in plain sight in some random Swedish club. The resemblance in that Sweden clip is straight up uncanny. The man's got Tupac's facial structure, his expressions, even the same little gestures that real fans would spot instantly. It's almost too close to call. But once you actually listen to the performance, things start to get complicated, even for the die-hard believers. Critics jumped in fast, saying the rap itself doesn't carry that Tupac fire. The energy feels off. The flow doesn't have that explosive punch or deep emotion that made Pac one of the greatest to ever touch a mic. Tupac's known legacy was all about raw emotion, storytelling, and that unmatched passion that could command any stage, no matter the size. He could flip from pain to power in a single verse, and that's what made him legendary. But in this Sweden video, while the performance is decent, it doesn't hit those same intense levels. It's missing that signature electricity, the kind that could make a crowd freeze in awe. And then comes the same major red flag everyone points to: the lack of visible tattoos. Once again, the Thug Life ink and other markings that define Tupac's image are nowhere to be seen. That detail alone keeps skeptics fueled up. The video started trending on YouTube and soon spread across Reddit's r/Tupac forum, where users dropped essay-length breakdowns, analyzing lighting, movements, voice tone, even the microphone grip, all trying to settle the debate once and for all. Some theorists tried explaining it away, saying if this was Tupac, maybe he purposely toned things down to keep a low profile, not too flashy, not too risky. Others argued that after so many years away from hip-hop, his voice, rhythm, and delivery might have just evolved naturally with age. Either way, the mystery stayed alive, keeping both believers and skeptics clashing online, nobody ready to back down from their side of the story. Now here's where things get crazy. Sometimes the wildest so-called Tupac sightings don't happen in dark corners or secret spots. They go down in the middle of huge public events where everyone is watching. That's exactly what happened on March 5th, 2014, during a Boston Celtics versus Golden State Warriors game at TD Garden. A full house of fans, live TV cameras, and thousands of eyes glued to the court. In the middle of the action, arena cameras panned across the crowd and landed on a man who made everyone stop for a second, because he looked exactly like Tupac Shakur. The guy rocked the full Pac look, the bandana tied the same way, the goatee, and even the little nose stud that made Tupac's style legendary. It was like a blast from the past sitting right there in the stands. Then it happened. His face popped up on the massive jumbotron and the whole arena lost it. The crowd exploded into chants of "Tupac, Tupac," echoing through the stadium. People were jumping out of their seats, pulling out phones, and recording the moment from every angle. Even the commentators couldn't ignore it. You could hear the surprise in their voices as the camera lingered on the mysterious lookalike. Within hours, clips from the live broadcast hit YouTube, Twitter, and sports blogs, and boom, the internet went wild. Some were cracking jokes, others were dead serious, convinced they'd just witnessed proof that Tupac was alive and chilling courtside at a Celtics game. Sports outlets everywhere picked it up, replaying the moment again and again. And just like that, the legend of Celtics Tupac became one of the most viral modern-day sightings in pop culture history. News outlets jumped on the Celtics Tupac sighting story immediately. Within hours, Boston Magazine, NESN, CBS Boston, and Larry Brown Sports were all blasting headlines, sharing clips, and fueling the frenzy around the mysterious man in the crowd. What started as a funny courtside moment turned into a full-blown pop culture storm that had conspiracy forums lighting up all over the internet. For many believers, this wasn't just a random viral joke. It was proof. They saw it as real evidence that Tupac had been living quietly all this time, even showing up at public events just to see how easily he could blend in. The theory went that Pac was testing the waters, moving through crowds unnoticed, living like a normal guy. A man who faked his death but still couldn't stay away from one of his biggest passions, basketball. It all lined up perfectly with his history. Tupac's love for hoops was well documented in his lyrics and interviews, so fans found the whole thing way too fitting to ignore. When the camera hit him on that jumbotron, the man smiled awkwardly, not denying, not confirming, just grinning as the crowd chanted Tupac in disbelief. His calm vibe and amused reaction sent theorists into overdrive. Some argued that his comfort with the sudden spotlight proved he was used to that kind of attention. Maybe because he was the man everyone thought he was. But as the hype started cooling off, the truth finally came out. And it was a lot less dramatic than people hoped. The man was identified as a Boston local and known Tupac lookalike who had been to multiple Celtics games before. Folks from around the city recognized him instantly and confirmed he wasn't hiding a rap legend's secret identity, just enjoying the attention and the fun of being that guy who looked uncannily like Tupac. Still, by then, the internet had already run wild with the story, and the legend of Celtics Tupac was locked into conspiracy history forever. The lack of Tupac's iconic tattoos and the fact that the man at the Celtics game never said a single word officially shut down that theory once and for all. But just when everyone thought the hype might finally die out, another wild sighting hit the internet, and this one came straight from Hollywood's main stage. Only a few months later, on June 29, 2014, the BET Awards became the center of yet another storm when Snoop Dogg posted a photo on Instagram that had fans losing their minds. The image showed a man sitting directly in front of Snoop, wearing a bandana, no stud, and carrying facial features that looked eerily like Tupac Shakur. The resemblance was so uncanny that within hours, the post exploded across Twitter, Facebook, and hip-hop blogs, everyone asking the same question: did Snoop just catch Tupac at the BET Awards? The photo's angle only made it worse or better, depending on who you ask. The lighting hit just right, showing sharp cheekbones, deep-set eyes, and that familiar smirk that looks straight out of a 1996 death row photo shoot. People started zooming in, screenshotting, and debating nonstop. The image went viral in minutes. And what made this sighting hit even harder was the history behind it. Tupac and Snoop weren't just collaborators, they were brothers in the game. Their chemistry was legendary, especially after dropping two of America's Most Wanted, one of the most iconic hip-hop collabs ever made. So seeing someone who looked exactly like Tupac sitting right in front of Snoop at an award show where all the major players were gathered, it felt symbolic. Almost too perfect to be coincidence. For theorists who've been studying Tupac's legacy like detectives for decades, this photo wasn't just another blurry, look-alike moment. It was potential proof that the man himself might have been back, watching from the crowd, right in front of one of his closest friends. The idea that Tupac could reappear at a major industry event with Snoop Dogg in the building had fans feeling like destiny was playing out in real time. It carried this poetic, almost movie-like energy. The thought of Pac showing up quietly, watching the game from the sidelines while his old friend stood in the spotlight again. But here's the twist. Snoop never said a single word about it. No comments, no interviews, nothing. He just let the world run wild with their theories while BET's official 2014 broadcast stayed completely silent on the supposed sighting. As the internet kept spinning, investigators eventually tracked the man down. And surprise, it wasn't Tupac at all. Just a random guest at the BET Awards who happened to share an uncanny resemblance to the late rapper. The fact that neither Snoop nor BET acknowledged it in any way made the truth pretty clear. Another mistaken identity that fans turned into legend. Still, the image burned itself into hip-hop internet lore, feeding the myth that Tupac could show up anywhere, anytime. Then came the next twist in 2015, a whole new sighting that took things to another level of viral chaos. A photo suddenly began circulating online, showing Tupac hanging out with Rihanna in what looked like a California bar. In the picture, Pac supposedly leaning on the counter, buying drinks, laughing, and vibing with Rihanna like they're old friends just catching up. The image exploded across Instagram, Pinterest, Twitter, everywhere. Even though it was clearly a digital fake, fans lost it. The picture tapped right into the fantasy of Tupac being alive and living freely. So many younger fans, who'd only discovered his music through streaming and YouTube, wanted to believe it was real. For them, the idea of their all-time favorite legend casually partying with one of today's biggest stars felt magical, like hip-hop past and present colliding right in front of their eyes. In today's digital world, where almost anything can be faked with a few clicks, that Rihanna and Tupac photo almost felt believable at first glance. It spread so fast because it played right into people's emotions, especially since the connection between Rihanna and Tupac wasn't just random internet fantasy. Rihanna has always been open about being a massive Tupac fan. She even got the Thug Life tattoo inked on her body as a tribute to his legacy and message. Over the years, she's spoken countless times about how much Tupac's energy, lyrics, and rebellious spirit inspired her in interviews, on social media, and even in her style. So when that fake image hit the internet, it looked emotionally real to fans. Seeing two icons, one past, one present, chilling together in what seemed like a casual bar moment hit people right in the nostalgia. But the truth didn't take long to surface. Anyone with basic Photoshop skills tore the image apart within hours. It turned out to be nothing more than a lazy mashup of two completely unrelated pictures. One of Tupac from the mid-90s and another of Rihanna taken years later. When you zoom in even a little, it's obvious. The lighting doesn't match, the shadows are off, and the outlines around both figures show messy cut and paste edges. It was a total digital illusion, and not even a good one. Major outlets like Vogue and BET have both documented Rihanna's real love for Tupac over the years, but they've never treated that photo as anything but fake news. By the time 2023 rolled around, TikTok creators were roasting the image left and right, calling it what it really was, a sloppy AI-era hoax that fooled people who wanted too badly to believe Tupac might still be out there, living his best life with modern legends. Even after being debunked, that fake Rihanna photo just wouldn't die. It kept getting shared, reposted, and rehashed across every corner of the internet, but nothing could have prepared people for what came next. In October 2018, the entire Tupac conspiracy world exploded when Suge Knight Jr., the son of the infamous Death Row Records co-founder Suge Knight, dropped a bombshell on Instagram. Knight Jr. posted a series of videos and photos that he claimed showed Tupac alive and well in Malaysia. The posts were beyond wild. Bold captions, cryptic hints, and photos that looked like something out of a secret agent movie. One image even appeared to show a middle-aged man posing with modern stars like Beyonce and 50 Cent, while Suge Knight Jr. captioned it with phrases like, "He never left us." Fans lost their minds instantly. The footage showed this mysterious man from multiple angles, walking, talking, posing, and Knight Jr. kept fueling the hype with even more dramatic posts. In some, he claimed people were following him on the streets, hinting that there were real threats trying to shut him up before he could reveal more. The entire situation went from bizarre to full-blown thriller in a matter of hours. What made this different from all the random online rumors was the source. Knight Jr. wasn't just some fan, he was the biological son of Tupac's former business partner and close friend. That connection alone gave the story a heavy sense of legitimacy. People thought if anyone would know something real, it'd be him. Before long, the story broke into the mainstream. Outlets like Esquire, Global News, XXL Magazine, and Hip Hop DX all covered it, turning what might have been just another social media rumor into international news. But as the details started clashing and inconsistencies piled up, the hype began to crack. The story got messy, contradictory, and full of red flags, leaving everyone wondering what was real and what was just another layer of the never-ending Tupac mystery. Not long after his bold Malaysia claims blew up online, Suge Knight Jr. started backpedaling, and in totally confusing ways. He gave different explanations at different times, changing the story so often that people didn't know what to believe anymore. In one post, he suddenly said Tupac was actually dead. but still releasing new music from the vault. That's a whole different story from claiming Pac was alive and walking around Malaysia. The contradiction killed the credibility of his original claims and made fans seriously doubt if Knight Jr. knew what he was talking about at all. Forensic image analysts and video experts soon dove in, breaking down every pixel of his so-called proof. What they found blew the lid off his story. According to XXL magazine, there were glaring inconsistencies, mismatched lighting, off proportions, weird blurring around faces, all screaming digital manipulation. Professional video editors also confirmed that Knight Jr.'s clips had been tampered with, showing signs of post-production tweaks and artificial blending that made them far from authentic. In almost every frame, the supposed Tupac figure's face was either covered, turned away, or shot from odd angles, just enough to spark hype, but never enough to confirm anything real. It was a smart trick to keep people guessing, but it didn't hold up under scrutiny. For most fans, this was the final nail in the coffin for the Malaysia theory, another flashy but hollow claim that couldn't survive expert review. But the Tupac conspiracy train didn't stop there. Not even close. Fast forward to October 2025, when a brand new clip began circulating on Facebook claiming to show Machiavelli, Tupac's famous alias, in an East New York housing project lobby. The footage showed a man who looked older, but still carried those signature features, the sharp cheekbones, the trimmed goatee, that unmistakable vibe. This time, the video quality was surprisingly clear, way better than the usual grainy, shaky footage these theories are built on. At first glance, that made it seem more believable. But then again, one key detail instantly raised red flags, something that would soon make even the most die-hard believers take a step back. The timing of this so-called Brooklyn lobby video couldn't have been more suspicious. It dropped right as a handful of rappers were making cryptic references about Tupac still being alive, all in 2025. Some fans noticed how perfectly it lined up with these lyrical hints, making the whole thing feel more like a slick viral marketing stunt or some elaborate online hoax than a genuine sighting. By this point, Tupac's name had never really left the culture. He's constantly referenced in songs, interviews, and memes. And even big artists keep adding fuel to the fire. Remember Kendrick Lamar's line, "Fake my death, go to Cuba"? Or Eminem's playful bars joking about Pac dipping out? Those moments keep the idea alive in hip-hop circles, reminding fans that the myth isn't going anywhere anytime soon. But experts and everyday viewers were quick to spot major issues with this new footage. The video looked too perfect. The lighting, movements, and facial details all screamed artificial. Tech specialists quickly called it what it likely was: an AI-generated deepfake, part of the new digital trend where hyper-realistic fake videos of dead celebrities flood social media to grab attention and clicks. Over the past few years, AI tools have evolved fast, making it scarily easy to create realistic-looking fakes that blur the line between fact and fiction. And this clip fit that pattern perfectly. Online discussions on Facebook and TikTok blew up, with users arguing non-stop over its authenticity. Some die-hard believers insisted the clean quality just meant it was finally real footage, not another grainy hoax. Still, the overwhelming consensus from tech experts, editors, and anyone familiar with AI-generated media was clear. This video was a deepfake hoax through and through. Another cleverly crafted illusion built to reignite the eternal question that refuses to die: is Tupac really gone, or has he been watching the world evolve from the shadows all along? What makes this latest Brooklyn lobby sighting so fascinating isn't the tiny shred of credibility it has, because let's be real, it's basically none, but what it represents. This marks how far the Tupac conspiracy game has evolved. We've gone from blurry, shaky VHS footage in the early 2000s to hyper-detailed, AI-generated fakes that anyone with the right app can make. It's not just grainy videos anymore. Now it's full-blown digital illusions that look way too real for comfort. The so-called Brooklyn lobby video perfectly captures this new era of modern myth-making. It shows how technology has changed the entire landscape of evidence. What used to be low-quality, late-night YouTube uploads has become advanced deepfake content easily manufactured to keep the legend alive. There's no independent verification of the clip, not one credible source or timestamp, yet it continues to bounce around the internet non-stop. Believers, skeptics, and curious fans alike keep sharing it, keeping Tupac's name alive and his mystery burning strong nearly 3 decades after his death. And just when you think the saga might finally fade out, another strange twist surfaces, this time from inside Tupac's own circle. Enter the Outlaw's music video incident, the final alleged sighting that got the hip-hop world talking all over again. In 2017, Tupac's former rap group, The Outlaws, dropped a video that included something eerie buried in the background. Fans who froze frames and zoomed in claimed to see a faint, ghostly image, a translucent face hovering in the scene that looked shockingly like Tupac himself. You could make out what seemed like eyes, cheekbones, and even that classic goatee. And for die-hard believers, this wasn't some random glitch. It was intentional. After all, the Outlaws weren't just some group in the game. They were handpicked and mentored by Tupac himself. Their bond ran deep, and their loyalty to him never wavered. Even after his death, they kept his legacy alive in their lyrics, visuals, and philosophy. So when that eerie face appeared, theorists split into two camps. Some said it was Tupac's spirit making a symbolic return through the group's art, while others swore it was the ultimate hidden message, a clue from his inner circle saying, "He's still here." Some fans went all in, claiming that the ghostly face in the Outlaws' music video was proof of a secret collaboration, that Tupac himself might have had a hidden hand in the production somehow. Others took a deeper, more spiritual route, seeing it as a sign of Tupac's presence, a protective energy, a guardian spirit watching over his old crew as they continued his legacy through their music. The sighting was even documented by outlets like Metro and The Sun, both highlighting how emotional and chilling the discovery felt for longtime fans. Because of the Outlaws' personal connection to Tupac, this sighting hit harder than most. It wasn't just another random street video. It felt intimate. Fans described it as eerie, powerful, and even comforting, almost like Tupac had found a way to appear beside his brothers one last time. For believers, that emotional weight made this moment feel like something far beyond coincidence. But skeptics, of course, had other ideas. After close inspection, image experts explained it as nothing more than a lighting trick, or what's known as pareidolia, the psychological phenomenon where people see familiar faces or shapes in random shadows or reflections. There was no evidence of digital editing or deliberate placement of Tupac's image. It was simply the way light and shadow happened to fall, an accidental moment that sparked a tidal wave of speculation. By 2025, following the passing of Young Noble, one of the Outlaws members, the clip took on a whole new meaning. Fans revisited it not as a conspiracy clue, but as something deeply symbolic. A reminder of how Tupac's influence still lingers in every beat, every lyric, and every person he inspired. It became less about proving he's alive and more about feeling his spirit in the culture that refuses to forget him. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Tupac's most talked about sightings, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and drop a comment below. Let us know which moment you think felt the most real. Your support keeps the legend alive.